Thank you all for being here. For those of you who don't know David, I'm gonna give you a little. He's got a lot going. So he is David Santiago, an award-winning designer. He owns Casa Santi Interior Design. He's renowned for his Strictly Santi brand, which mirrors the diversity of his talents. With lighting about and wallpaper collections catering to both hospitality and residential markets. He is also a respected home furnishings industry ambassador. Good job for that. His influence extends to the entertainment world. He serves as a guest designer on the Emmy Award-winning series George the Rescue on NBC, as a design and lifestyle correspondent to the Donna Drake Show on CBS New York. He holds the role of artistic director for My Face Celebrates MyFace.org, a noble endeavor dedicated to transforming the lives of individuals. While helps us to thank you. Furthermore, David is the performing arts contributing editor for Metropolitan Magazine. His multifaceted career is exemplified by his role as president of the International Furnishing and Design Association for the New York chapter. His membership in IDS and with it, our leadership organization at the High Point, and his board membership in diversity, advocacy, and alliance at High Point University.
And High Point.
High Point Marketing,
yeah.
Yes, thank you. He also serves as the creative director on the executive board for the Kaleidoscope Project, which champions the multicultural design community. And there's more. Well, there's as an accomplished classical opera singer, David Santiago is an alumni of Vance College of Music and holds roles as a cultural outreach officer and a board trustee for the Tetro.
Yeah, I forgot to check.
Thank you. Opera Company. His impressive resume includes the sold-out Carnegie Hall solo concert debut in 2020 and performances at venues like Lincoln Center for the New York City Opera. So,
good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to have him here with us today, and I'm going to turn it over to David for Runway to your house.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. Honestly, as much as I've been coming to High Point, this is my first interwoven, so I'm literally walking through the halls and having fabricasms. So politely, and I say that in the most respectful way. So what I wanted to do here what I wanted to do today with this presentation is show you how fabrics and fashion have influenced my walk and journey into the interior design world with my business, Casa Santi. We all have been influenced by the runways, from what we wear to home apparel, crossing over to home apparel, into design trends, forecasting every 6 to 12 months. We see the runway shows and the whole world extracts from all those different elements. And I've borrowed a lot of those things in this presentation. And it's been successful. It's predominantly in the soft furnishings area of window treatments, bedding, and upholstery. So without further ado, let's get going on this presentation. Okay. The right arrow, that's the one I'm hitting. And sorry, folks, technical difficulties.
Mark.
There we go. Fantastic. No, it's okay. I'm just going to make sure. So one of the most identifiable, recognizable things in fashion are logos, or what I like to refer to them are monograms. We all know who Louis Vuitton is, Gucci, Michael Kors, and so forth. And we all are a slave to getting that bag and getting those wonderful accents. And I borrowed some of that when I started crossing over into wall coverings and fabrics with my logo and my Strictly Santi brand. And I find it easy to have a conversation with brands, with my clients per se, regarding brands and extracting from all these wonderful fashion icons into conversations and cultivating design concepts. Monograms. So we mentioned earlier, my Strictly Santee brand was born, and it was a large oversized scale graphic element that I reduced into size into a small 2x2 form. And that's when I started referencing to Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Versace, and so forth. And I transferred this pattern into fabric, from wall covering to fabric to upholstery. And my clients are loving and buying into it. And it's a great way to hone in on those luxury brands and incorporate the high-low equation in our world of interior design. And now even further into window treatments, bedding, and so forth. She's all sheers. One of my favorite elements of home decor are sheers and the casement fabrics and the veil effect that you're able to implement in different spaces throughout your residential projects, hospitality, and even commercial. And I find that it's one of my go-to textiles and fabrics that is a win-win across the board. And it's not necessarily a gender specific, but it's a great neutral. And all of these sheers and casement fabrics have come such a long way with the way they're woven in pattern cuttings and the metallics and the embellishments, that they even become jewelry and those wonderful go-to adorned ornaments in home fashion. I love sportwear. I love rugbies. I love stripes. I love zigzags, and I love all of those graphic elements. And when I'm working with my clients, and you'll hear me reference this all throughout the entire presentation, is I always look to my clients' aesthetic, what they're wearing, what's in their closet, and how they dress on a casual sense and on a professional level. And I extract all inspirations from my design concepts, and especially with young couples and families, especially during boys and young girls and teenagers and coming up with design concepts. I always start with the wardrobe. So this is why this is a vital part and success to my story as an interior designer in the world of window treatments. You're going to hear me refer to Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, Calvin Klein, to Nautica. I can go on and on and on, because we all know these brands, and they're a great way to expand and pitch your design concepts. And this presentation is really about that. It's been a way for me to hone in on additional viable assets when I'm cultivating my design concepts. And window treatments is where I got started. I was born in the world of window treatments through Calico Corners, and that really pivoted me to hone in on my strengths as a design consultant and ultimately crossed over to home furnishings. And I never stopped looking back. And that helped me propel into the journey where I'm at here today, discussing it with you, because it's been a really great business asset in cultivating my business and getting me larger and crossing over to other endeavors from residential to hospitality. So what I love about this is a project that was strictly influenced from style, women in fashion, and vintage Vogue magazines. And when we were cultivating this story, we had a reference to art, the illustrations in fashion, and all the covers that at least I love to look at and get inspired. And we carried that over into the dining room. I said, why not bring fashion into the dining room in the most artistic way through art? And it doesn't always have to stay on the draperies and the soft furnishings. But here, a layering effect, again, is a key element in the way that I like to work and dress windows, as I like to wear and dress myself. Again, all of the artwork were vintage fashion references that we utilize in this design concept, along with the herringbone tweeds and the velvets and the faux marble fabrics and the layering effect and the sheers, again, the encasement with trims and notions, which I love. I think those are the accessories in the jewelry to window treatments. Talking about trims and deliciousness, Diane von Furstenberg, I think we all know who she is. When she ventured into the fabric and notions world, she partnered with Kravet, and boy, did it influence me. From the color to the graphic elements and beyond. She is an icon, and I didn't miss it a beat to incorporate Diane in some of my work and witness it right there in a living room, paired with Crate and Barrel and Restoration Hardware. Dare I bring those up? But I am, because we all know those brands as well. But high fashion in a cool, easy lifestyle home for a young couple that has an interest in Diane von Furstenberg. Plaids for days. I think plaids are a great way to cross over and conversations, both it's a gender neutral for me graphic, where I've been able to, we were talking earlier about this, that when I'm working with couples specifically, most men in the relationship want to take a back seat, not necessarily play a big role in decision making, and will chime in, share a few words, sign the check, hand over the credit card, but it's a great way to make them part of the conversation. There's a king and queen in every household, at least not every, but most of them. And I always refer to them that way in a wonderful way. And why not pull the masculine part of the conversation and give them a point of view and a reference? And plaids are a wonderful way to do that. As I'm wearing plaids for days, on and on. And I love layering them and pairing them with trims and notions as well. Accessories like leather bags and leather shoes. Oops, sorry. Hold on a second. I have to go back. I'm sorry, guys. I got too excited. I know. We'll get there. There we go. Plaids for days. So talking about plaids, the crossover hospitential. So I had a wonderful client that loves to travel and very much into the traditional element of equestrian themes and plaids, where we would all identify a plaid or a houndstooth and tartans and all of that. It's an easy equation, but he didn't want an equestrian feel. He wanted a nice tailored masculine feel with a neutrality that the kids could come in, his girlfriends could come in, family members could stay in this room that was his childhood room into a hospitality suite. So we brought in all these wonderful neutrals and layered. You see the plaid on the rugs, we got houndstooth on the bedding. We have a Greek key element, a nice neoclassic embellishment that works really well with tweeds and plaids, and upholstered the walls in the chenille, all neutral elements. And again, this was a conversation that was brought to me from my client that travels and stays in hotels and really wanted, and also does hunting and goes, traveling, and didn't want that feel, but wanted a neutral space. So hospitentially his, which brings me over to Ralph Lauren, Tommy Hilfiger, and Nautica. We know all of these brands from luxury to lifestyle to casual, and they're a great reference point that I've used to, again, hone in on design concepts when I'm working with clients. And that's really the takeaway that I hope you get today, of that conversation that is so easy and understandable when you relate apparel and their sensibility of fashion from their own closets or what they're wearing to their home. This concept was literally based by a young couple. She loved vibrant colors and saturated colors, and he was very conservative, both in the medical field, and he wore Glen plaid suits, cognac cap-toe shoes, leather belt, jewelry, Piaget watch, sorry, the Piaget watch. And I looked at his aesthetic and I said, what you're wearing, we're going to utilize and inspire for your home. He's like, you want this suit in our home? I said, absolutely. And that Glen plaid from Kravet and the trim from Stout and the paisley were all extracted from what he was wearing. He had a paisley shirt, and voila, his window treatments were born. And this room carried on. They love what we came up with, the design concept for the living space, and we carried it into the dining room. And again, that plaid that was in the living space went into the dining room in a completely different window treatment and a larger volume, paired with a linen weave that had a nice threading introducing graphic element and color. Bold and graphic. If anyone knows me, that's certainly my cup of tea. And I love going bold, and I love a graphic element, and I love extracting again from the stylistic time of the 70s and 80s, which I think that referenced even the 90s, the black with the big buckle over into the jacquard and damask inspired black and white contrast. And we've all seen these dresses. We've seen these on television. We've seen them on the red carpet, and why not in your home? And this was, again, a young couple that was influenced by a lot of red carpet looks, and they loved black tie attire, and they wanted a young transitional feel. Big fans of restoration hardware, so I was pretty smart, and I think I nailed it on this one. I took a map mural that I cut out and I appliqued over a shirting wallpaper, and then carried that whole red and black tie theme to the windows. So all of these maps here are individually applied. And I said, if I'm going to do restoration hardware, I'm going to do it my way. And this was the way we did it. And the jacquard we were talking about carried over to the damask on the chairs. And I used this project again to highlight some of the contrast trims and the way that I like to utilize materials. I love mohair, but I sometimes don't want too much mohair. So why not do it in contrast banding and like a great cuff and a great way to accessorize your draperies. And faux real. I love faux furs, and why not use it as an accent or a staple? But it tends to be seasonal, so I'd like to moderately use it in a way that, you know, when it's the middle of summer, you're looking at this faux fur and you're not thinking winter, but you're thinking luxury in the seasons to come. And red carpet ready. We all look at the shows, the Grammys, the Oscars, the Met. We look to those dresses and those pictures and those images for inspiration and to borrow and extract the high-low equation as I like to implement in my design. And when I saw this picture, it immediately was a reference to an award show with the With It organization that we did. We did an opera ball theme, and we wanted to drape the stage, and boy, did we drape the stage. I think we had close to 60 yards of fabric there that did not have an ounce of stitching, and this is all freeform draping, which was one of the talents that I acquired early in my window treatment world. And it was big in that time, not to date myself, but in the 90s, scarf swags with swag holders, you could drape for days and sell fabrics. And it was a window treatment that you could take down and reformat and turn it into another pattern. And this was a great way. And I just had to reference that red carpet to this because I hadn't done a drape in many, many years. So when we were doing this event, it pulled me out of my retirement. And I think I did a pretty good job. So the modern traditionalist, you know, I would say I'm traditional at heart in all of the things that I do, even the styles that I apply to my work. And then I pivot and I try to do something a little fresh and a little different and personalize it for all of my projects. And this was a project that they were very traditional at heart, but they really wanted an edgy vibe. They wanted something to have a little bit more style. So we brought in the Jaguar velvet. We brought in the cool neutral velvet here with the scallop back wingback chairs that were really inspired by the images that you see, and have certainly embellished with some fantastic artwork and lighting by yours truly. And all toiled up. Toile is one of my toiles across the board. I am such a fan of toiles, and every time I see a toile, I see a story, which is ultimately what they are. And they're from somewhere in time, and I think they're a great way to freshen up and be classic but relevant. And when I saw these images of these traditional window treatments with a freshness to it, I started looking for a reference from fashion, completely opposite of what I'm talking about fashion first. I found the window treatments first, and then look what I found, all toiled up. And I thought this was fabulous. Not that this is something that you would want to wear all the time, but certainly eventful, seasonal, and you understand the assignment. as certainly I do. And I hope this gives you inspiration to have conversations with your projects and your vendors and take you in a direction outside of the obvious. You know, from the runway to your home was really a broad conversation that has been very successful to my journey as an interior designer and in my business. And I hope that you take some of it and get to the bank and go ka-ching, 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 because window treatments and soft furnishings are a great way to cultivate your business. And I could be found on 1-800, no, just kidding. These are my Instagram accounts. Somebody get me Santi, which is my trademark. Hospidential is that hospitality crossover to residential, which I started in 2019 when I ventured into product design with companies that cater to hospitality. So it's kind of like the Residential, but it spoke to me this way a little better. And my love for wallpaper made me the self-appointed Prince of Wallpaper, which really I got from Mario Boata, the Prince of Chintz. So when Mario and I met, I said, you know, I'm going to borrow this Prince of Chintz one day. And I turned it into the Prince of Wallpaper, which respectfully came up also when I was mentored by Raymond Waits, who recently passed. And he was such an icon during his time, and talk about fashion and layering. Boy, did he do it with all the bells and whistles. And it's still with me to this day. So I learned a lot from my journey and mentors, and I carry that in every step I take through the streets of High Point and beyond. And Tenor Santi is my opera world. That's my formal training, musical education. Interior design is my trade. That's my story. From my voice to your ears and my heart to yours. Told you it'd be short and sweet to the point, right? If you have any questions, I'm all ears. And if not, happy journey, happy trails. Yes, Tanya.
So when you first mentioned the idea of the closet and your wardrobe actually or influencing how you
Yes.
think about
Yes. I'm going to bring the mic over so we can get you on the recording. Welcome to the Donahue Show.
So I was saying that using your wardrobe to help you to determine what the design aesthetic would be is brilliant. And I thought of my parents. My mother is over the top. She loves everything big, colorful, yellow and oranges. My father wears the same shirt every day, if he could, for the rest of his life, doesn't like change. And the more worn in it looks, the better for him. I'm assuming they're not the only couple in the world that has this kind of dichotomy. And so my mother prefers that he sits in the back and he doesn't give his opinion. How do you handle that when you have a couple? Now you've given this person who doesn't have the kind of design aesthetic that the other person has and likes. You've given them this opportunity to now chime in, which now is more conflict than it would have been if you just let them sit in the corner and write their check.
That's a great question. And when I've encountered that, I always respectfully say, okay, I'm going to speak to your husband in a way you've never spoken to your husband before. I'm going to give him a voice. And right away they start laughing and say, he doesn't care. He doesn't have a say in this, but he does, because he's your partner in life. He's your partner and you're here together for a story. You're building a home and you live in the same space. You walk through the same doors. You utilize the same spaces. Why not? And she'll usually look at me and go, okay, let him talk. And we'll start this conversation. More so than not, I always find that she'll go, who are you? And I'm like, he's in a neutral zone, talking about his taste, his style in a safe space. And I bring a little humor into it. And it's really been a way for me to break the ice, because you were right. Sometimes like he's not allowed to speak. This is my job, but he is, because he should. The last thing I ever want to do is work with a couple, implement a design concept, and one of them walking by going, I never liked that, and it's not a feeling that I want to implement. I'd rather go, I had a say in that. And that's how I work. And it's funny that you mentioned your parents, because my mother was the initiator in a lot of the home furnishings that we implemented. And my dad was very opinionated and very stylized. Actually, I'm wearing my dad's vest, talking about old and new. And it was an interesting dichotomy to see them when my mother would take this initiative and my dad was always, very headstrong. But my mom had style, so I get it from both. But yeah, it's not an easy conversation. Always a little tongue in cheek and a little humor I bring into it. I try not to be so serious. And any of you know me, I'm always jovial and full of energy, and I try to have a lot of fun in everything that I do. And even when we speak, and sometimes in not most comfortable topics, but humor is a great icebreaker. And just an anecdote of maybe of what someone is wearing could open up and pivot completely. Maybe the shirt he's wearing, she gave him. I gave him that shirt. He looks good because I'm dressing him. I'm like, well, great. Let's go to his closet. Boom. And there you go. Great question. Anyone else before a commercial break? Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking time during this amazing show and journey to go on a journey with me from the runway to your home. Mwah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. And now a song. Just kidding. Cue the band. No. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming.